Hello everyone, welcome to this video. So in this video I want to go through some fundamentals of .NET. Okay, and it's targeted at beginners and you may or may not know how to code, so I'll probably just assume you don't know how to code. The only thing I do expect you to know is how to install Manjaro Linux, and you should know how to flash your USB sticks with the ISO, go through the graphical installer, and then because what I'm installing now is Manjaro Linux. Okay, it's a good Linux distribution to begin with. Okay, so this is Manjaro Linux. I assume you know how to install this because I'm using Manjaro Linux to run all of this. Okay, so I'm going to try to learn, and of course as I learn I teach, or rather as I learn I share, so that I'll remember what I've learned, and if I forget I can always come back later. That's for my own learning process. If you find it useful, then good. Okay, and the reason why I'm learning .NET, is because I'm interested in modifying and playing around with dwsim, which is an open source chemical process simulator. So my channel is very targeted towards science and engineering, and this is part of that. And coincidentally, this thing is lagging, so I'll just have to explain what dwsim is. It's a chemical process simulator. It is written in .NET framework. Alright, so in other words, to modify and learn it, I got to use .NET. Okay, and for first timers, being exposed to .NET, it's pretty overwhelming. There's just so many things to start with, right? There's so many things so many questions probably. Let me clear this. I don't want to scare you. Okay, let me just give you a blank desktop. Okay, so So you might be asking, what is .NET? What is .NET? What do you use it for? How do you use it to write a program or application? Wow, my Wi-Fi is really, really bad here. But how do you use it to write some program or application? Alright, all these questions. Okay, why do you learn it in the first place? Okay, so let's just start with the simple premise that, oh wow, this is finally loaded. So Wi-Fi is bad here. So what is .NET? How do you use it to write software? And eventually I want to know how to edit this dwsim, learn some of its nitty-gritties, how the code works, etc. So how do we get started with .NET? Right? So very simply, .NET is more of a system rather than a coding language. Okay, it's a system with several coding languages. So one of the most common languages you will see in .NET is C#. Okay, C# is very similar to C++ or C, which might already put you off because you might have heard C or C++ is a pretty complicated language to learn. So it's like, why am I learning this? Why are you learning this in the first place? So don't worry about it. We'll go through it one at a time. So before we start .NET, I'll need to acquaint you. I'll need to introduce you to the command line. Okay, so in Manjaro Linux, this is the KDE Plasma edition. So this is a KDE Plasma edition. I know it might put you off, but I really want to start by introducing you to command line and I want to get you used to the command line. So how do you open the command line first? Okay. So in Manjaro, what you can do is you just go to your start menu and you type in console. Console is for KDE Plasma, or maybe terminal. You just type in terminal. Okay. you type in the word terminal, you should be able to see which application will bring you to command line. Now in Linux, the shortcut Ctrl+T will usually bring you to this terminal as well. Okay, so get used to that. How to open and close terminal, Ctrl+T. So it's really for beginners. How are you going to play around with the command line? So it's a kind of a crash course. Just be prepared, but I won't assume you know how to navigate around the terminal. So next step, how do you navigate? Okay, because let's say if you use a graphical user interface, when you open a folder up, you will be able to see all these folders and subfolders. You will be able to see files and folders as you open it up. Okay, how do you see that in Linux command line? Okay, the proper way to do that is with the use of this command called ls. Okay, ls basically stands for list. Okay, so if you click list here, you will see this. You will see all these folders here. Okay, desktop, documents, etc., etc. So ls stands for list. So you list literally all the files and folders. Okay, so if you want to list documents down, just press ls and then click enter and press enter, and you will be able to see. So one more time, ls and press enter. Okay, now often, so that's the first command you must know for Linux, ls. So next command is, well, if you keep typing ls a lot of times just to see where you are, you might find your screen very quickly flooded. Yeah, but okay. Yeah, never mind. I will. Okay. I think. Don't worry. Oh goodness. Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah, we will. There are lots of commands. I'm just thinking which one to do first. Okay. So. All right. With ls, you actually will see all of these folders. All right. And normally inside your file explorer, you can like double click the documents and you can sort of go back just like that. All right. In your Windows File Explorer or Mac as well, you should be able to do something similar. How do you do it in the command line? So the command to use here is cd. Cd stands for change directory. Cd. Okay, so cd, if you want to go into the documents folder, as you see here, just type documents. Okay, you have to spell it out, case sensitive, etc., etc., and you click enter, and then you will be able to go to the documents folder. Then, of course, over here you can also type in ls, and you can see the folder I made here called AUR builds. Okay, it's just a folder name. Don't worry what it stands for. It's just my own stuff. So, how do you go up one level if, let's say, I want to go to the previous or one level up, right? Because this is documents, and if I go one level up, okay, if I go like one level up, I will be inside this folder called home. So under home, there's documents, there's downloads, there's music, all of that. So how do you go up one level? Okay, to go up one level, you do this: cd ... Okay, cd ... Okay, so let's try again. ls to check out my folders, and then I can cd documents. Okay, type it out word for word, and then I'll be in my documents folder. I will type ls again to list whatever's down there, and then of course I can cd 2 dots, and then I'll go back up one level. All right. Okay, now you might notice my screen is actually getting more and more cluttered. So that is the command. Next command I want to teach you is called clear. Okay, clear literally does what it says it does. It clears every single of the screen, the outputs of the screen, so that you have a clean starting point to work with. So it's just clear, clear, and enter. That will clear up your screen. Okay, so ls, cd, and clear. Okay, so these are the three things. So all right, so these are your essentials for navigating around the command line. Okay. Okay, so now that we have we know how to navigate between files and folders. Okay, next thing I want to show you is how to do tab completion. Now you see, if I do cd documents, okay, I normally have to type everything out and then I press enter. Okay, normally I have to type everything out and then I press enter. However, if you don't like to type everything out, you can use the tab completion, which is you literally pressing the tab key. So you can press tab. Okay, if you press tab, usually bash or this is z shell, z shell, they will let you know what are the possible options. So if I type the capital letter D, there are three possible options here. It can be a capital D for desktop, capital D for documents, or capital D for downloads. So if I type the next letter O, I press tab again. My possible things are documents or downloads. So if I just want documents, so I can type DOC, documents, and then I press tab. And since there's only one choice there, all right, there's no other possibility for DOC. Okay, if my file name starts with DOC, it can only be documents in this folder. So that's the nice thing. You don't have to type out all the letters of documents in order to type it out. You can just use tab completion and it will do it for you. Okay, so this is tab completion. Okay, all right. So you have what you need to navigate around a Linux file folder and subsystem. cd documents, cd ... and that's how you navigate around. So next command I want to teach you is called make directory. So you do have to like practice this on your own, and I'm only giving you the very bare basics just to make sure you don't get lost around here. All right, so clear. All right, what I want to do is I want to make a directory for .NET applications or just .NET in general. So mkdir it says what it does, make directory. So normally, of course, inside your folder here, you can actually create a new folder, just like you would in Windows. You call it new folder. All right. Of course, here you can do mkdir and you can type in new folder. Okay, ls. So I have one new folder I made using the graphical user interface, or we like to call it GUI, GUI for short. And then the other one we use the command mkdir. So this is how you make folders. Now let's say I want to delete it. Normally in the graphical user interface, I will have to right click and I'll say oops. I will want to move it to trash. So it's either you delete the thing, so it's delete, and then you move it to trash, or shift delete, right? Shift delete. Okay, shift delete. That will permanently delete this item. Okay, in command line you will also have the same thing. So I can make a new folder for you. Okay, I can do new folder, and if I use this sort of method, I'm able to make names with spaces between them. Because if I do mkdir new folder, what happens? It will literally make two directories, one called new and one called folder. Okay, and you don't want to do that. So if you want to make the directory called new folder, you will need to use this apostrophes or whatever down there. Now let's practice how to delete. The way to delete it here in Linux is to use the RM. RM stands for remove. Okay, rm stands for remove, and if you want to remove a folder, you can just do it like so, rm folder. Okay, unfortunately, you cannot remove a folder like that. Okay, the proper way is to do rm-r folder. And what happens? Folder is gone. Okay, what is R? Okay, R means recursive. Okay, means to say it will remove all files and folders. Now, the way I like to always type, it's my muscle memory now, is to use rm-rf. Okay, F stands for forced remove. That means I want to overcome whatever's down there and I'll force a removal of it. Okay, so this is how I usually remove folders in my muscle memory, rm-rf. Okay, and that will also do a delete for you. Okay, so with rm-rf, I can also do a tab completion, new folder, or I can just type the word new here. And then you will see new folder is written using this \space. So if you want not to use this apostrophe, you can use a \space to indicate that you want to remove a new folder. Okay. So there are two ways of making folder names with spaces in between them. One is to use this apostrophe thing. The other is to use backslashes. Okay, so that's a lot of commands I'm teaching you. So let's try again. mkdir, and of course you can do a tab completion. mkdir new folder. And what happens? I make a new folder like that. If I want to remove it, rm-rf new folder. Okay, so this is what you need to do, learn to deal with folder manipulation in the command line and how to navigate between folders. Okay, so I'm only giving you again bare basics, but after that you should be able to pick up things along the way. Alright, so I want to make a directory called .net, and I want to go in, and this is an empty folder in .net. So if you look inside the Explorer, there will be a .net folder, and I can go inside. Alright, so right, great. I know I've introduced you to the command line, and I will continue introducing you to some commands in that command line as we go along. Alright, next thing is how do we then install .net? Okay, how do we install .net and get ourselves started with a C# project? Okay, the way to do it, okay, is to start installing .net. Okay, you have to install it through the installer. Usually, Manjaro will use Pacman, or even better, you can use pamac. Okay, pamac's a little bit more intuitive to use. So pamac is like a software. Pamac is a software updater. Of course, there is a graphical user interface. If you go to add or remove software, this is the easiest way to do it if you don't want to learn the command line. Okay, and I will search for this thing called .net. .net. Okay, it will doing it through the graphical user interface will be much slower, but at least it will give you it's a less of a learning curve. So next time maybe then I will talk about doing pamac through the command line. That is my preference, but assuming you don't know command line, I think what you learned just now is already like enough, unless you really want to learn so much more. Okay, so let me show you some of the preferences I use. Okay, to deal with the preferences in pamac, you go to the top right and you go to preferences. This is in February 2022. Again, the graphical user interface may or may not change. Okay, over time it may change, so you will have to look for updated tutorials if you are watching many years from the posting of this video. Okay, so what I like to do for my pamac, this is pamac. What you're seeing here, this app store or something like that, is called pamac. Okay, is that I like to enable third party. So one is there's this thing called AUR. Okay, I like to enable AUR support, and I like to check all the boxes, and I make sure I make a custom build directory in AUR builds. But this build directory, you can just leave it as a default because you don't really need the build directory for the most part. Okay, I also like to just check the box for Flatpak support. So enable Flatpak support, and of course for Flatpak support I want to check for updates as well, and the snap support as well. So what I'm doing here, I like to enable snap, Flatpak, and AUR. Okay, what those are, you don't have to worry about it for now. So I'll just enable them and close them. Okay, so how do we get started with .NET? Okay, there are a few things you need to do. Okay, once you search .NET, you will have a lot of things here. Okay, a lot of things here. I want you to select a few things. One is called the dotnet-runtime. So dotnet-runtime is over here. This thing, .NET Core Runtime. Make sure it's .NET Core, not .NET. Not .NET Framework. It has to be .NET Core. And for today, as I make this video, it is version 6. So make sure you install this. Okay, you have to install it. So to install it, just click the install button here, and at the bottom, you just click apply, and then it will do it. It will help you to install it. So you just wait for it to install. If you want to check out what's going on, click the bottom right arrow here, and then you can see what's going on behind the scenes. It says, alright, the internet connection is bad. It cannot connect to the host. Alright, so whatever. Yeah, it will take some time to settle. So I will just skip this part of trying to debug debug this connectivity, and I will just click this optional dependencies here. I will just choose everything, click everything, and I'll choose it. And then of course when you run .NET, you run .NET Core or .NET Runtime, you'll be asked to install .NET-host, .NET-runtime. Of course, this num actual and iitng, whatever it is, just apply and install. Okay, fail to synchronize AUR database. Yeah, my internet connection is bad, so let me try running it again. Okay, so it's going to install that. Will take a few megabytes. Okay, I'll fast forward this part. Okay, so we have finished installing. Okay, and if you go back to the command line by pressing Ctrl+Alt+T, or you open up your existing terminal window, you should be able to type the .NET command. Okay, usually when we type the .NET command, we will be brought to this part. So yeah, so now we are able to make a new application. All right, so let's do a clear. Okay, the command to run .NET within your command line is literally .NET, dotnet. So if you want to make a new program, new file, new application, what I like to do is, I can make a directory, and I'll call it play with .NET. Okay, I'll just call it play with .NET. Now cd to that directory, ls. And what I like to do here is, I'll put .NET. If I want a new file, I can just type the word new. Okay, and it says, okay, usually the thing here is to type .NET new, but it says look, we could not execute because the application was not found or compatible .NET-SDK was not installed. So we need to install, in other words, we need to install .NET-SDK. So we'll need to look for .NET-SDK. Where is .NET-SDK? Okay, .NET SDK will be, let's see, it's a little bit hard to find. .NET SDK, I want it from the official repositories. I do not want snap packages or anything else. And I'll show you where to confirm whether it's an official repository. Okay. All right. Since the thing is loading, I'll tell you now. You see this? Okay. You see this thing called .NET SDK, the .NET Core SDK. You see under there, you will see this thing called the official repositories bracket community. If it's from AUR, you will see the AUR in very faint letters here. If it's from Snap or Flatpak, you will see it underneath there as well. For example, this .NET Core SDK comes from the Snap package. It's a Snap package. So I want it for the official repositories. So what I'll do is I will just click this one, .NET Core SDK. I can click the download button here. I'll click the download button here, and then I will just apply, and that will help me install it. So this is the second thing you must install. Okay, so I need to type in the password. Okay, and then you will have this thing called aspnet-targeting-pack. Whatever it is, just click the optional dependencies and install it. Okay, so I will just apply. And then of course you have to wait for a while for it to install. So I have this aspnet-targeting-pack, which is important, I guess, for web apps. So .NET SDK will be installed. So now that .NET SDK is installed, you will be able to run .NET New. Okay, so you will be able to come to this interface. All right, so this is good. We have .NET, and well, what do we want to start, right? What do you want to start using? Okay, there's console app, class library, Blazor server app, and ASP.NET Core web app. Okay, all of them you will see what's the you'll see them under this thing called template name. Then you have a short name, language, and text. Okay, so for the first part, just want to talk about languages, because in .NET we will use a lot of such languages. Okay, so what language will you be learning when you use .NET? Okay, a very common language to use is C#. Okay, C# is related to the C family, C++, C that I was talking about earlier. And the other very commonly known code is a coding language is called Visual Basic, which is what you see this VB here as. Okay, so for a start, I want to start straight instead of using console apps. Okay, console, most of the time you start with console app. Okay, but what I like to do is to try web apps. Okay, I'm gonna try web apps. Okay, why? Yeah. Okay, so my story, my use case is dwsim, of course, and of course modifying things for dwsim, maybe using some of their code and library here and modifying them for my own uses. Okay, the thing is that dwsim, while it says it is cross-platform, it is a little bit harder to use in Linux and Mac OS as compared to Windows, because dwsim is compiled and run predominantly for Windows. Okay, so most of the features will be available in Windows but not in Linux or Mac OS. Okay, for example, there's this OPC UA plugin for Windows, but it's not as easily available in Linux. And then, of course, the user interface for both of them will be different as well. Okay, so what's the solution? Well, I actually found this quite useful. I was introduced to this program called Ignition. It's a very nice thing for control. And basically, how it's also cross-platform, but how does it make itself cross-platform? It is by building the entire application as a web app. Well, web apps are definitely cross-platform because whether you use Firefox on Linux to serve this dwsim, or you use what do you call that? Microsoft Edge on Windows or Safari on Mac OS. Okay, more or less your web pages look the same. Okay, so that's the aim there, right? If you want a cross-platform, it's easy to do it through web apps. Okay, if you want to develop a cross-platform application, it's easier to do it through web apps. So you only have to maintain one source of code rather than you simultaneously try to develop three. One for Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. Okay, so that's why I want to do web apps. So I like to do .NET new. Okay, I'll just type web app. So okay, what is this short name here for if I want to do web applications? So I want to do ASP.NET Core Web App. Okay, the short name is web app. Okay, web app. So if I say .NET new web app, it will create a new template of a web app for me. And then I can use ls again. And then you'll be able to see lots of new files come up. Some JSON files, some object, some pages file, there's a properties file, www root file, program.cs, play with .NET 1 CS project. So don't worry about what these are, but yeah, we'll find out more about them later. Okay, but this provides us with a basic web app template, and we should be able to run it straight away. So usually to run the web app, we use .NET Run. Okay, we go to the folder where the program is, and we just click or type .NET Run, and then it should be able to run things for us. Okay, so it will take a while to do this thing called building. However, if we type it for the first time in Manjaro, we will not be able to run this because it says the framework Microsoft.ASP.NET-Core.app version 6 was not found. It says here no frameworks are found. So if you search online, and this is what I like to do for programs, I like to search online. So just copy and paste it here. And to copy from the command line here, you use Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. Okay, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V to copy and paste. Okay, .NET. Okay. So you can search online. Usually, if you type in the error message, okay, this is pretty specific. The framework Microsoft.ASP.Core.NET version 6 was not found. So I can copy and paste this message. Hopefully, I will find some help here. So the first thing on Google is this GitHub. And it says this framework was not found. You can install the correct framework. And what you do is you need, okay, one of the comments here is it says you need to install ASP.NET Core Runtime. So how do we find ASP.NET Core Runtime? Well, for Manjaro, you can do ASP.NET Core Runtime. So word for word, you can type in here. Okay, you will not be able to find something like that here. You will just see this thing called rider. Okay, or maybe well, the package in Manjaro is called ASP.NET Runtime. So you see, this is really ASP.NET Core Runtime. This is exactly what you want. So click install, and we'll just go through the motions again. Okay, I will just choose whatever optional dependencies are there. I like to have my extras, and there's also batch completion, which allows for tab auto completion as well, but we already have it in our ZSH. But whatever, just install whatever. I like to install extras. It makes it less of a hassle to think what is missing. Okay, so once that is installed, you can just type .NET run. and we should be able to run this so-called web app. Okay, so how do you access the web page of this web app? Okay, well, once you run .NET Run, you will see this output called building, and it says warn Microsoft ASP called blah 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 blah. There's a warning message here. Okay, then there are two bits of info. One is called Microsoft hosting.lifetime. It says now you're listening on localhost :7050, and this thing is now listening on localhost 5199. Okay, so usually what we do is to just copy and paste this website http://localhost 5199, and we'll just paste it here. And then it will warn you about some potential security risk, but don't worry, this is our own website. We won't make viruses for ourselves. And then what will we have here? We'll have this web page called Play with .NET 1. There's a home page, there's a privacy page, and that's it. Okay, so this is our web app template. We can actually change some codes and put new things here. So yeah, we have basically run our first web app. Okay, so this is the web app website. You can also, of course, use https localhost 7050. You can paste it here, and you can try the 5199. Okay, it says secure connection failed. So it will be one of the two web pages. So the 7050 is the one. Okay, so yeah, go for this. Go for one of them. One of them should work. And then the next thing it says here, application started. Press Ctrl+C to shut down. Okay, so let's give it a practice. So if you want to shut this thing down, Ctrl+C, and then you say application is shutting down. And then if you try to run the website again, you'll say unable to connect. So let's try .NET Run. Okay, and then it will give us this. Host and everything. So I'm going to refresh the page because the website here is the same, localhost 7050. I'll refresh it, and then yeah, we are back here. So that's a lot of things for a first video. We learned how to navigate in the command line. We learned how to install .NET. We learned how to use a new template with .NET. We hosted our first web app, and we checked it out through a web browser. So it's a very crash course kind of thing. I assume you should know how to install Manjaro, but yeah, enough of me talking. But thanks for watching. I hope this was useful in getting your .NET journey started.